This is IGN. Lost and Found. This is your IGN review of the Odyssey by Scott Kalora. Couldn't you have shown some mercy? That line is the crux of Christopher Nolan's much-anticipated adaptation of the Odyssey, a film that is truly huge in scope while also at times emotionally acute, using Homer's foundational epic poem as a lens through which to offer a surprisingly modern lesson about war, PTSD, and the very question of why we still have to deal with those things almost 3,000 years since the Odyssey first came into existence. Nolan's opus is resonant and often bold. Unfortunately, it also occasionally misses a step in its storytelling and frequently feels rushed despite its nearly 3-hour running time. The result is a must-see, if sometimes frustrating film that is marked with moments of brilliance. Anyone who bothered to read at least the first few chapters of the Odyssey in 10th grade English class should know the story, but a quick refresher. Matt Damon stars as Odysseus, the king, warrior, husband, father who has been missing from his home island of Ithaca for some 20 years, flung across the realm of ancient mythological Greece after being summoned by the king of Achaean kings, Agamemnon, played by Benny Safdie. Told in non-chronological fashion, hey, this is Nolan after all, but also, hey, Homer did it first. Odysseus' wife, Penelope, played by Anne Hathaway, and their now on the verge of manhood son, Telemachus, played by Tom Holland, suffer back at home, wondering if their king will ever return, even while the greedy and very uncool suitors, led by Robert Pattinson's Antinous, run roughshod over Odysseus' home, vying for his wealth and his wife. It's a story that has been told on film before, if never very successfully. 2024's The Return starring Ralph Fiennes is great, but it only depicts the last act of Homer's work. And Nolan, perhaps inevitably, makes tweaks to the original poem that might bug Homer enthusiasts, changing bits here, compressing story threads there, adding elements from other Greek mythology works, and even occasionally removing some of the most iconic moments from the original. Don't hold your breath if you're waiting for Odysseus to pull his I am nobody trick on the Cyclops here. That said, there is no way to translate all of the Odyssey into a feature film without nipping and tucking and, in the spirit of the work, dismembering some elements. And besides, the folks who never made it past Chapter 3 in high school are not going to notice anyway. Among the most thrilling aspects of Nolan's film are the horror elements that he brings to the highly episodic escapades of Odysseus and his men as they struggle to find their way back home after the Trojan War, only to fall on bad luck time and again. For example, the run-in with the aforementioned Cyclops, achieved via visual effect but the performance of which was guided by the great Bill Irwin, removes much of the dialogue between the one-eyed monster and Odysseus from the book, but in its place, the director inserts a sort of existential dread as the thing goes about its day-to-day business of waking up, herding sheep, eating Odysseus' men, and going to sleep, before doing it all over again the next day. This being a Chris Nolan movie, the cast is chock-a-block with stars and highly recognizable faces, even if most of them don't get a ton to do. John Bernthal does his John Bernthal thing as Menelaus, but Lupita Nyong'o, in her brief scenes as Helen of Troy, adds texture to the enigmatic character in a way that hasn't often been done. The actress also plays Helen's twin sister Clytemnestra, wife of Agamemnon. The face of Benny Safdie's Agamemnon is never fully seen, but his looming presence is always feared, even by his own men. Himesh Patel gets a bit of depth as Odysseus is questioning Lieutenant Eurylochus, while Mia Goth's handmaiden to Penelope, Melantho, is memorably Mia Gothian for what little time we see her. And oh my swineherd, John Leguizamo is funny and touching as Eumaeus, Odysseus' loyal servant and caretaker of the best old dog in literature, Argos. What must also be acknowledged with the Odyssey is how skillfully Nolan has taken the many preposterous elements of the book, and please be aware that I say this as someone who absolutely loves Homer, pigmen, giant cannibals, living whirlpools, more giants, and makes them at best terrifying, and at least interesting and believable. The much ballyhooed IMAX 70mm production was no small feat to pull off, and moments like Damon's hero helplessly watching his ship get torn apart around him during a vicious storm are as visceral as a film-going experience can get. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is a must-watch cinematic experience, an epic version of an epic poem that adapts many of the out-there concepts of Homer through a new eye, that frequently brings a sense of horror and existential angst to the story, and even a bit of humor too. Matt Damon is fine as the title character, if not revelatory, but the extensive supporting cast frequently prop up individual moments, as do some of Nolan's unique additions to the story. While Odysseus' emotional journey here can be as choppy as a rough day at sea, and the civilization is eroding theme is undercooked, the film's bigger observations on the effects of war on those who are forced to participate in it are well met. The Odyssey isn't perfect, but it's a pretty great movie-going experience all the same. The Odyssey's IGN score? 8 out of 10. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and for the latest updates on the Odyssey, visit us at IGN.com.
Spoken Layer.